All right, we're going live. What's up, everybody? If you're out there, just a heads up. If the service goes down, we'll log back in. I'm streaming this show from Universal Studios on Universal Studios Wi-Fi. No intro video. Well, just face it, because I'm on vacation. So, suck it up. Hang in there. Here we go. Let's bring in Michael and Eric. What's up, guys?
Oh, there he is.
Look, I don't know what's up with Florida, but the pollen here is really bad. Like, totally congested. My wife's congested. Mike, you said your van's covered in pollen.
My van was green. It was white. Now it's green.
I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
Dude, it's
blue. I mean, there was ice on the pond last week up here.
And I'll tell you,
Seriously?
like riding these roller coasters with the kids, and we were riding the Velociraptor yesterday. It's a pretty awesome roller coaster, by the way. But I could just, it's like 200 miles per hour of pollen going wham, wham, right up the nose.
You know back of your brain.
Yeah, dude. Just, if I'm not breathing it in, I'm just going to force it in with all its might.
There
Bro,
you go.
It's bad. That's so bad, bro.
It's bad.
Need a little air filtration there. Where's your mask at? You need some air filtration.
Bro, it's funny you say that. I was working on a condenser this afternoon, right? And the customer was like, "Are you going to take your mask off?" I was like, "No, we're under like a 300-year-old oak tree, and it's just dropping, just nasty pollen on my face, man. I would get hit by branches, bro. Oh, I wore my mask, outside the whole time. Yeah, that was the craziest crap. So,
let me ask you a question, and this is really foolish on my part. Whenever I did, wait,
hey, are we live? We're live now.
Yeah, we're live right now.
Oh crap!
Oh yeah,
yeah. So anyway, we most of my life I would do installs, and I never wore a mask. And then it's like, because IAQ wasn't so big for like, it wasn't talked around in my inner circles, so we didn't really think nothing of it. And I'm breathing all this like fiberglass insulation. It never really affected me most of my years, but my last couple years, I would have these coughing rants that would just set it off to where I feel like I'm about to throw up in somebody's attic. I don't know if you've ever had that situation where you're like, you breathe it in and you literally are coughing so much you're about to puke. Have you ever had that problem in an attic?
Yeah, bro.
So
not fiberglass, but that's probably not good.
No, it's not good. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself now, and I'm like, man, there's probably some super harsh stuff we're breathing in attics. But the caveat to that is, what are we supposed to do? I don't know if you've been in Louisiana attics, dude. They're really hot. It's like wearing a mask and doing an install is brutal.
I mean, the attics up here in the summertime, we don't get hot attics up here at all. I mean, it's, they're no more than 140 or so.
Yeah, Eric's in Quebec.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is, man, is there needs to be an invention where somebody conditions
he lives next to Gary McCready.
Hey, I think they've had that. They've got it. It's called supplied air.
Yeah,
the spray foam guys all use it all the time. You put a mask on and it literally blows air in. You have a hose hooked to the back of you.
Oh,
and it blows air into that mask, and it just positively pressurizes that mask, and you breathe that air.
My insulation guys got that until somebody farts next to the machine,
Dude, I thought you were joking with me. I thought you meant like get the unit up and running and don't tie the ducts in and let it blow.
No.
You put this big hood on over your head or a mask, and it just literally it pipes fresh air into you constantly.
Yeah.
It's not a new invention.
Really? I got to check into this. Someone in the chat said PAPR. Is that the
get them for your boys at the shop, bro.
I don't know.
Look them up. It's like $5,000.
Bro, that sounds really cool. Oh, it's very expensive.
Oh, it's not cheap. No, because you have to have you got to have a certain kind of compressor that will put in clean air. So it's got to be clean and filtered air, and you got to make sure that you don't have a source an air source that's like next to a generator or something like that outside, where it's going to suck a bunch of stuff in. But there are machines.
You don't want anybody downstairs eating Cuban burritos, bro. Is what he's trying to say. You know what I mean?
Man, this thing
not
sounds
not
really
that I've eaten them the night before, anyhow. But
So
yeah, I mean, like Tom Lex said, it's like a mask you use in automotive painting too. They do the same thing. They'll pipe air into that hood, so you're getting fresh air in there all the time. But it is a specialized it's a specialized thing.
Yeah, and it's air conditioned.
Man, we need to talk to Bill, and that needs to just be on True Tech Tools for Sale, bro. What's up?
Oh, bro. Come on, bro.
I'm just saying. You got the stroke over there now, right?
Bill?
Yeah, Bill.
we got a lot of Miami boys that are hot in the attics, all right?
I bet there's something out there that would push some cool air up in there, keep your head nice and cool. The rest of you might be a little warm, but whatever.
I'm telling you, they got it. My insulation contractors got it.
Oh yeah, they're out there.
Pressurized suit, and
yeah.
Right, dude, it sucks, man. I had the mask on yesterday. We had an attic install. That's the job I was talking about.
Oh, I mean, I've gone into attics wearing the full, respirator and stuff like that on with the cartridge filters on the side of it. And oh my goodness, that's
the one. That's the one I like. Oh, that's the good one.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
The one I was wearing yesterday, what we call is the shit breather.
Yeah, it's horrible to wear in the summertime, but it's better than breathing all that crap in.
I felt like I was going to pass out yesterday.
You guys make me realize
didn't have the cartridges.
It make me realize how poor we are. Like, my dad would never, we would have never spent that kind of money.
Yeah, bro.
She'd be like, Dad, let's get some of these masks. He'd be like, how much? Yeah. You're crazy.
He's like, put some hog's hair around your head. Give me the duct tape.
Here, have a bandana while you're at it. Yeah, that'll fix everything.
It's funny when I was younger. You bring this up. This reminds me of when I was younger, right? I was like 26, 27 in the trade, and the guys. Every time I did a little bit of air handler mold remediation, I do UV lights back in the day, and I would do like a blower clean, a coil clean in place, right? And word got around the shop that I'm wearing a respirator with the two filters, or the pink filters, the mold mask. And these guys would give me shit, right?
Yep.
They're like, oh, here comes Mike. He's trying to upsell, right? I'm like, bro, do you understand the shit that's in there? I'm not breathing that in.
We're telling our customers it's bad for them, they shouldn't be breathing it. That's why we're in there cleaning it. Why do you want to breathe a concentration of it?
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, because crap off the blower wheel. I'm really trying to sell it. I already got the damn signature anyway. I don't know. These guys are just busting my balls.
Well, I mean, that goes back to a lot of things in this industry and a lot of industries. It's this mentality that, we got to be tough and strong and all this stuff. And then we end up broken down and sick by the time we're 55 and we ain't taking care of ourselves.
I do a blower wheel and an A-coil cleaning in place, and then I'm out with freaking Legionnaires. It's like, oh, what happened to Mike?
Sounds like what Chris has got right now. It sounds like he's got something. He's been sucking down a dirty blower wheel or something.
Blower wheel. He's got that orange blossom from Orlando stuck way up in the nose from that roller coaster, baby. Oh yeah.
All right, man. If y'all are gonna keep ragging me, bro, I'm just let you guys run the show without
me.
No,
Chris.
You know what I'm saying? Look.
Oh, no.
Hey, there we go. We got it now, baby.
That's it. Don't get me angry.
Ed shows up again.
We can't pick on Chris too much. Yeah, he's gonna cut the live stream.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. I can take it, bro. I can take it. And so can this Universal Studios Wi-Fi. I'm impressed.
Yeah. How's the air quality there, bro?
It's not.
All I can think of is it looks like you're sitting in a 1970s hotel room, or a 1970s hospital bed with an orange. You got the big orange red thing behind you, propped up on a pillow.
I'm gonna give you guys the view. I hope my wife ain't watching this live stream, but I'll just show you. Probably not. She's at the arcade. Yeah, I'm gonna show you, man. Dude, we're
she's gonna come home like this.
You know this is gonna be recorded and she can view it later, right?
Yeah, man. Look, we're super trashy. Look at that.
Fruit Loops on the floor.
Dude, literally, we trash the place. Look at that. Goldfish everywhere.
Goldfish everywhere.
We don't play. We get our money's worth out of this $300 a night hotel room.
Do me a favor, jump on the bed a little bit.
Let's have a pool next door. Yeah. We've done that, man. That's why we have to like mandatory. We go first floor. Anytime we go anywhere, it's like they're like first floor. I'm like definitely. I'm like unless you want some pissed off people below us, like it's got to be first floor.
Yeah, what's the cheap rooms over there? It's like the NASCAR rooms are the cheapest rooms, or is that Disney?
Dude, this is I would call this an expensive room because you can walk to the water park, but it's nothing fancy, that's for sure. But you know what? It is what it is, man. Kids get what they get. But
Eric, whatever. I was on earlier with Chris, just shooting shit, and I'm like, bro, was somebody having a party next door? And I hear like boom, 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 boom. He's like, yeah, like right outside is like the water park or something. What do you got outside, bro?
Yeah, this is an awesome like place where you can go swimming like right there. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
But they play some good music. Yeah, it's the vibe here is pretty cool. I had to hand it to him. It's good stuff.
So what's closest to you right there?
You, man. I looked at your address. You're like an hour away. I almost thought about driving to your house. I was going to come to your house and we were going to sit next to each other for the show.
That'd be fucking awesome.
All right, man. Let's get to this heat pump talk. We got to talk heat pumps, man.
Heat pumps.
Heat pumps.
Yeah. So Michael's the heat pump expert here, so I'm just going to sit. You might as well just take me off the screen.
Yeah.
Sit back.
Put mute on, Eric. I got this, buddy.
Like I'm posting something in the chat just to get this thing started.
I'm in straight capital of the world, bro. I actually pulled up one of Eric's old video.
Yeah. If you haven't read Jim Bergman's Electrification and Open Letter, I just posted it in the chat. Go click it. Read it later. It's worth a read.
Yeah, don't read it now. You want to pay attention to us right now.
That's right. We're going to tell you a bunch of lies, and then you're going to go to read Jim's Open Letter and realize how much full of shit we are. All right.
But I thought Straight Cool saved me money up front.
That's right. We're just all going to move down to Orlando with Michael, or down South Florida with Michael there, and we won't have to worry about heat pumps anymore.
So,
dude, if we get all those people down there, we're going to overload Florida, and it's just going to sink into the ocean.
That's it.
Yeah.
Actually, that happens.
Yeah, you'll be like New Orleans, man. You could start living under the water table. It's a great life. Every time you turn around, the pumps fail. I don't know.
2 feet underwater. I Googled it for 5 minutes. I was like, this is over my head.
Dude, look at most of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what the Vikings were trying to take over England? They were getting out of there. It was sinking. The Netherlands
over here.
The Vikings taking over England? What?
I thought they were from Norway.
I said the Netherlands, not Norway.
Oh, the Netherlands. Okay.
All right.
Other end of Europe.
Yep, the other end.
All right.
Okay.
So I was playing a game with my oldest, who's like a super nerd, right? I've been trying to get him up to TC headquarters for a little while. I think I'm gonna make that happen on my next run. But we leave Louisiana and it's cold, right? And I know we're driving to Florida and it's gonna warm up as we make the drive. So
cold.
I'm picking with it's cold. Yeah, not freezing, just cold. Yeah. So, we leave and I'm like, y'all want to get a jacket? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool. So we drive like, I don't know, 2 hours. We get out, we get gas. And I look at my oldest son and I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, is it warmer yet? And I was like, you feel warmer? He's like, no, it's still cold. And I'm like, that's interesting. I was like, keep paying attention. I was like, we're chasing those, COPs, coefficients of performance. He's like, what? I said, all about them COPs, baby. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're going to find out shortly. And so we drive, we get like 3 hours down the road and we stop to get gas. and it's a little bit warmer. And I looked at him, I'm like, man, it's warmer. What do you notice? Is it warmer? He's like, a little bit. And I'm like, it's all about those COPs. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, just pay attention. So we end up getting a room. We get back on the road. We start going south this morning. And dude, it starts to get warm, right? Weather's changing, but it's definitely getting warm as we drive closer to the equator. And so we stop and we eat breakfast, late breakfast, and we get out and I'm like, dude, it's warmer now. Like people might still be running heat, but it's warmer. He's like, yeah, it is warmer. And I'm like, this is where the COPs come into play. And he's like, what? And I'm like, dude, coefficients of performance. So I basically educated my son on the ride down. We talked about heat pumps the whole way. Because I was like, I've been brainstorming about this show and what we're going to talk about and whatnot. And, trying to make it relate to my child. And I'm like, how can I make my child understand what the heck we're talking about? And I thought it was a good experiment to mess with him, about how when it's not as cold, things could be more efficient. I don't know. It was interesting. Maybe you had to be in the minivan.
You're gonna have to explain what the heck.
I was gonna say I want to hear this explanation.
You know me, I'm down with COP. So
right, so I'm telling my son, I'm like, look, when the heat pump, as we get to the warmer weather, and I could be wrong about this, so excuse me if I really F this up, but it's not working as hard, right? But then I'm gonna screw this up. It's probably the pollen. If it doesn't have to work as hard, then it's not under so much of a load. So I might be mixing two equations here. When a piece of equipment is under a load, it could show the most efficiency, right? Eric, help me out here. It's like basically checking enthalpy when a system's running and you're checking enthalpy. When there's a load on it, you're going to see a lot of performance. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most efficient. Am I right? Like if it's a heat pump is running and the weather's not freezing cold, your COPs are going to get better as it gets a little warmer. It's going to be more efficient as it warms up. Come on, Ty Brandon, you're in the chat. Hook a brother up.
Well, okay. So what a COP is, though, is a COP is comparing the performance of the heat pump to a known or a fixed quantity, which is the amount of heat that you get out of electric heat.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
right.
So the COP is so electric heat, you get 3.412 BTUs per watt.
How do you remember that, bro? You are outstanding.
I don't know. I read it once. It just it's stuck.
Which is like 21.1 gigawatts.
Exactly. You remember that, right? How many times have you used that in your life?
Quite often. I love Marty McFly.
All right. Well, there you go. Have you got Marty McFly's truck?
Hey, man.
I want to know if you got his underwear. That's all right.
Sweet. Calvin.
So,
nice
Calvin.
So what it is when we talk about COP, we put in X number of watts of power, and if we were doing straight electric heat, we would get 3.412 BTUs for each watt of power we put in.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So that's the heat output for watts input on electric heat. Now, when we're talking about COPs, we're comparing to that electric heat. But with a heat pump, we can put in that 1 watt and we may get 3.5, maybe even 4 times the amount of BTUs transferred from the heat source to the heat sink, which if it's an air-to-air heat pump, you're transferring from outdoors to indoors.
Right.
Okay. So you're transferring that heat from one point to another. What happens with a heat pump is, it starts to draw more, like Ty says, easier to move heat when temperatures closer together. And that's exactly right. Because when we're using a heat pump, we're using vapor compression. Okay. So, which means that in order to absorb heat, we have to make the heat absorption coil, say if this is outdoor temperature, we've got to make that outdoor coil lower temperature to absorb heat into it from outdoors.
Right.
And indoors, we have to, if this is your indoor temperature, we have to raise the coil above your indoor temperature in order to reject heat into that indoor airstream.
So compared to electric heat, like what,
We
it's most
still
efficient when it's most hot, when it's really hot, when it's warmer outside.
Well, electric heat, yeah, because what happens is when you're talking about a vapor compression, you're talking about the compression ratio.
Right.
Okay. And the farther apart those two coil temperatures are, your absorption coil and your rejection coil, or your sink and your source, your sink and your source
Right.
and your rejection coil, the compression ratio goes up, which means the compressor has to work harder. We have to put more watts in to move the same amount of heat.
So what Chris was trying to say to his son is it true? Because it's a little warmer outside, it's a little bit more efficient?
It can be more efficient.
Or
yeah,
is Chris
it can be
telling
more
lies
efficient
to his son? That's what I want to figure out.
I'm not quite sure how he related that to his son, because we weren't in the, remember, Mike, we weren't in the minivan there, and I'm not sure how he related that, and I'm not following his logic so far. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the rest of the story.
This is a 2-part series, right? So if I take him through some reality and make him understand maybe the concept, then I can take him back home and I can open up expanded performance data. And then I can then show temperature and I could show capacity, temperature and capacity. And I could show him after we get past the balance point, we start getting down low, our capacity starts to taper down, right? We start losing capacity. And I could start showing him that, as it gets colder, we're going to get to an issue where we start falling off.
Well, that's not your balance point. That's not your balance point. That's just a performance.
Right.
Balance
There is the
where you
balance
compare
point for
two
a
things.
There's a lot of, we're saying balance point, but balance point could be a very abstract term. There's thermal balance point, economic balance point.
There's two balance points.
There's two balance points. So
two balance points.
There should be one.
Two balance.
Two.
There should be one
points. 2 points makes me angry. That's just too much information for me. I'm going to sell straight cools.
Yeah, well, you guys don't even turn heat. Where you live, Mike, if you want heat, you just open the window.
That's right. That's right.
Or go into the attic.
And humidity.
If you're too cold, honey, put some socks on. I'm going to sell you a straight cool. Nah, all joking aside, I sell heat pumps.
Yeah.
So
we did too, man.
You got economic and you got thermal balance point, right?
Economic and thermal balance.
Economic balance point is used in dual fuel systems where you've got a gas furnace and a heat pump as your sources. Okay. So that is where you run the heat pump, if you're running on economic balance point, you figure out where it's cheaper to generate heat out of the gas furnace than it is to generate heat with the heat pump. And you do your changeover at that point. That's if you want to run on economic balance point. Now, thermal balance point.
And you don't care about freezing your family out.
Well, honestly, I've had dual fuel.
No, I'm just joking, but yeah.
But seriously, though, I've had dual fuel, and this was kind of this was my first heat pump that I had. It was dual fuel. I put it in, sized it up, couldn't get the size furnace that I wanted, so I had to go the next size bigger, right? So I got a 2-stage 60,000, and because they didn't make a 2-stage 40,000, which is what I really wanted. But what I learned on that house was that even if I was firing that furnace on low stage, when I switched from the heat pump to the gas furnace, my house became more uncomfortable.
Oh, it's what Jim Bergman's wife said. Throw that heat pump back on.
Right, because the runtime going from, I was making maybe 18, 20,000 BTUs off of that heat pump. Thanks, Adam.
Adam McCoy's up in here. All right.
I was making.
I like the way Ty, said that too, lifting the boxes from the chair to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you think of that,
let me read that. lifting boxes from the chair to the table versus lifting boxes from the floor to the table. Which one could you move more if in the same time?
I like that. I like that.
And
that's
where your compression ratio comes in. Right? Lifting boxes from the chair to the table is when the compression ratio is short, the temperature indoors and outdoors is pretty close. From the floor to the table is when the outdoor temperature starts to drop, and you got to make that lift farther and farther.
Right. I like that. I like that analogy. Talk to me like I'm one of those slow kids. That's what I am.
Well, that's the plan, man. You know, Eric. Now he knows.
Man,
I'm down with COP.
Hey, the covers are off, man. The show is not really real. This is just us bringing Mike around full circle.
Nobody knows. I financed this entire show just for my knowledge.
Hey, guys,
nobody knows.
Guys, thanks for hanging out in the chat, helping us out here.
Yeah.
Checks are in the mail.
I dropped 20K, 10 on Chris and 10 on Eric.
I tell you what, it looks like Chris is on a boat that's about ready to make him throw up there.
I know, man.
He's chilling on the bed.
Hey, bro. Oh, announcement. What's up,
Jason Julian's in the chat tonight.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say, I got to say this. Jason just shared a video of him spraying spray foam on his round metal pipe. I, for the life of me, have wanted to see how he's been doing that to make it so uniform from top to bottom. So just shout out to Jason. Thanks for sharing that video. That was really cool to see, by the way. All right. That's what's up.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
What's going on, Frocko?
Yeah, it was I don't even know where I seen it. I was just scanning my phone. You know, dude, my phone's got me figured out. It knows what I like. Kind of creepy.
Dude, I'm so sad that Jason couldn't make the Animal House, man.
Oh yeah. By the way, house will be a go next year. Jason is already signed up to come, and I just want to let this be known, so word gets out. Start spreading the word. I'm going to have so many people that get invited to the house next year for the Animal House, and we're going to base it on activity inside the grapevine. Yeah. Because it's been hard. Dude, it's hard to see, like, who do you know, I tell everybody who comes on every year, I say, look, it's really hard to play, like, to not play favorites. I like to mix it up a little bit every year. But I thought about, you know what? How should I figure this out is let's base it on activity. If people are in the grapevine and they're active, those are the people who should get an invite, right? That's fair.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people
out there supporting the community, man. A lot of guys love our group.
Yep. So if you're active in the group, man, I'll be watching the analytics, and that's going to get the invites this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So make some comments, bro, and don't get too freaking angry. When you don't get picked for the house.
That's what I'm saying, man. Bring it. You got to bring it.
Oh, A-Team's in the house. What's up, bro?
Oh, my God.
Adam's in the house. What's going on, Mr. Muffich?
What's going
on,
so
let's go, dude.
So we're talking about balance point. Okay, so yeah, we talked about thermal balance point, right? So that's when the heat pump can't make enough heat to satisfy the house, and so economic balance point, switch over when it's cheaper. Thermal balance point is when the heat pump no longer has enough capacity, because the capacity of most heat pumps starts reducing as it gets colder outside, because we start getting farther and farther apart on the on a compression ratio. What in the world is he?
You talking to me?
I'm listening, bro.
He just got out the big bottle down there.
I'm not tuning you out, bro. I'm soaking this up like a sponge.
So the thermal balance point is simply when that heat pump doesn't have enough capacity to heat the house by itself anymore. And that is the point where we need to bring on supplemental heat. Okay.
Right.
So that's where you add in
pretty much shit the bed, right?
But, well, because if the heat pump is still running Okay. It's still running, we'll say a COP of 2 or 2.5, which means that it's 2 to 2.5 times less expensive to run that heat pump than it is to run straight electric heat.
Right.
So we add in, on top of that heat pump, we start adding in a little bit of electric heat, like say 5 kW. You want to add in the smallest amount that you can, because it's going to add in some extra BTUs. You're still going to get the savings of running that heat pump, but you start adding in a little bit of extra heat to supplement it, and you want to cycle that heat off and on. You want to cycle that electric heat off and on and keep the heat pump running constantly.
Right. You don't want to suck the grid dry.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not so much sucking the grid dry, but it costs a whole lot more for the customer to run that. And that's where we see a lot of times people will recommend that, oh, when it gets cold, you got to switch over to emergency heat and turn that heat pump off.
Right.
No. You got to keep that heat pump running.
Right. And then, so is that what happened in Texas? Why the grid failed so bad is because,
well, that could be part of it.
Right.
That could be part of it. What
those heat
which
pumps
time
fell
are you
on their ass, and then electric heat picked up, and then the consumption of the whole power grid.
Are you talking about what, last year when it failed so hard?
Yeah, like a year. Yeah.
Was it a year ago?
Yeah.
Okay. That problem was completely different. Now we can go down that road, but that problem had to do with the fact that Texas thinks it's really warm there all the time, and they didn't winterize all of their electric plants.
Okay. Yeah, I heard some stuff about like they were still running windmills, and there was no.
The wind was actually
all kinds of shit.
Well, some of their windmills did freeze up, their wind generators, because they didn't put winter packages on them. There's specific winter packages on them to keep them from freezing up.
Yeah.
That you have to put on. Now, up here in the north where we get regular ice and snow, put them on that. But what they didn't do was, on the electric grids, there's what's called gas peaking plants. Okay. And there's natural gas generation plants that they can turn up and turn down really rapidly.
Did you get that, Chris? There was gas peaking plants.
Okay. So they use natural gas. When they hit a high peak, they fire those natural gas generation plants up real quick because they can turn them up fast.
But the tree hugger guys don't like that, so they went all solar and didn't winterize shit, right? And just you got freaking turbines just blowing up all over Texas.
What happened was
they were dropping oil too.
Well, what happened was Texas didn't think that they were ever going to get that cold, and they didn't winterize any of their distribution system, any of their piping system.
Well, doesn't winter come every year? Like they
no.
Same time?
No. It doesn't get that cold. So they they froze up their natural gas system is what happened.
They froze up the natural gas?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you meant froze up the turbine.
They froze the system. The natural gas distribution system is what actually froze up. Because they didn't have that winterized.
Bro, come on, man.
And that's because Texas, if you look at Texas, they have their own grid. They're not connected to anybody else. They just
wait, hold on. Ty's dropping knowledge in the comments. What's Ty saying? Texas has got gas pipes.
Here we go.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, these guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
Just freezing up.
Well, coal plants freezing is kind of funny because what happens is in the piles of coal, and they have to run that coal into a coal plant on a conveyor, they'll have moisture, and they periodically have to spray that coal down because if the coal sets in a pile, it will spontaneously combust. So they periodically have to spray those piles down and keep them damp to keep them from spontaneously combusting. Well, then when it gets really cold, it just turns that whole pile of coal into a solid lump. And you can't shovel it out. You can't run it up the conveyors because a lot of times in the coal plants, they actually have to pulverize the coal and they turn it into dust to blow it in the burners.
So, Eric, let me ask you a question. You may know the answer to this one.
Probably
I've always heard that to fire up the natural gas plant. Well, I've heard to fire up the coal plant, they hate to do it because it just costs them a bunch of money. It's like they start going in the red when they fire that plant. I could believe that, but is natural gas plant the same way?
Well, it depends on how they're running them. The coal plants take a lot of they're very energy intensive to start. Like you have to have a grid connection, and you're actually pulling a ton of power in to get everything spun up and running to even get that to fire. You can't just start it on its own. It needs external electricity, or it's got to have huge generators to get that turbine and everything spinning in there. Because it's got to generate, it's got to get that turbine spinning. I'm not too up on how all they do that. I know I've known some people over the years that were operators at those plants, but I never really got into the details. But my understanding is that they actually have to manually start spinning that turbine and then get enough steam generation to spool it all the way up before they can actually generate electricity.
So I learned a
Jason
lot from
Julian asked a question.
Book.
Jason Julian's got a question. He says, Eric, you were talking about running the heat pump and electric heat at the same time. He was asking, what controls do you prefer to do that with? And I see some people are saying Ecobee.
Yeah, Ecobee. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Okay, so you can let the thermostat do it, and you can base that off of droop. So you might have a half a degree or a degree droop, and then it brings on that auxiliary heat. You can put in what's called an outdoor thermostat. And an outdoor thermostat actually does it off of outdoor temperature. So say at 15 degrees, you have an outdoor thermostat that turns on the electric heat, or at 20 degrees or whatever you deem it necessary based on the calculations you do. Most of the thermostats out there, if you get into the details, you start looking at how they work, they will do something similar to that. I prefer something that does, at least if you're doing a single stage heat pump, I want at least 2 stages of electric heat, because I want to step that on as slow as possible, because that's best for comfort. And it keeps
what the boys do down here? They put a jumper on electric heat. To tell me one. And I was young when I was working with this company, right? And I go, bro, why are you guys putting a jumper at the T-stack, What is going on? Right? You know what they tell me? You're going to freaking laugh at this. They're like, well, if the heat pump don't work, it always comes on electric heat. So, it's great. So you got, 15 amps from the compressor, and you got 40 amps on a 10 kW? Yeah, no big deal. I only turn the heat on in Florida once a year, right?
So, man. But dude, speaking of jobs, man.
Now,
I like the 2-stage, and I like that.
I'm going to say, I'm just going to throw this out real quick. My favorite control is still the Honeywell Prestige IAQ 2.0.
Yeah, that's what I got in the house.
My favorite control for basically unless you're just doing a single heat, single cool. That control for me does it, because you got the option to do multiple stages of heat with it.
Yep.
You can do 2 compressors, plus I think you can do up to 4 heats with it, if I recall right. Plus it's got your 3 auxiliary terminals on there to run dehumidification, humidification, ventilation.
Bro, it had ventilation.
That's the one that's like a 3-inch.
Talking about it.
Is that the 3-inch by 4-inch LED screen?
It looks like a train.
So
yeah, I think so.
Right, Eric? It looks like the older train.
No, it's just a square thermostat. It doesn't look like the old Honeywells. You're thinking of the old Honeywell 8000 series?
No, I'm thinking of the Honeywell. It's rectangular, and it's got a touch screen.
Yeah,
and it's got
it's
4 buttons on the left side. Yeah.
That's
what I'm thinking of.
Right around the corner, right here.
Yeah, right around the corner.
That's it.
So,
but yeah,
food for thought on heat pumps, man. This is something that. Let me throw this at you. So one time I was doing a commercial job working on a York split system. It had to be like 15 tons, And York had decided that they were going to stick with the normal straight cool electric heat style wiring platform, but yet it was a heat pump system. It was the oddest thing I ever seen.
Really?
It actually screwed up. I went and rewired it. I looked at it and I'm like, you know, I was teching it and I was like, wait, man, this is a heat pump and it's all wired up like straight cool. Like, what the heck? So I started rewiring it only to realize, wait a minute, this isn't right. I called tech support and I'm like, hey, man, tell me what's going on here. And the guy goes, oh, we run this as a heat pump, but you wire it up traditional, like traditional non-heat pump style. I'm like, what? And I thought, man, that's really cool. And I wonder why residentially that didn't come about. Because that would have made things easier on the technicians, right? To not, because there's, a different strategy for wiring up heat pumps for heat pump mode. Imagine
There
if
it is.
the, residentially.
A lot of that has to do with when you're talking on residential, because you have to have an extra board in there to make that logic happen, to run the reversing valve.
Right.
Totally get it.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper for equipment. And how many residential companies out there are focused on price versus
95% of them
making it? What percentage?
95.
None of them.
Oh, I thought you said 85, and I'm like, dude, really? 95 still might be a little low.
It might, yeah.
So it requires an extra board in there to do that. And I'm assuming that it was cheaper just to do it with the thermostat.
No, I hear that. But
let me show you something real quick.
You know what? All right, show away, my man. Show away.
18. Is that Amana? Was it communicating?
Hang on. I'm trying to get this.
It's probably like a communication.
There we go.
On that Amana.
Right. You see there we go. You see that? That's the Prestige IAQ.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, so it only runs 2 wires up here to this, and then it's wireless to the interface module. So all you have to have is 2 wires coming up here. Yeah. And then you have your equipment interface module down at the air handler, the furnace, whatever. And that's where you make all your equipment connections at.
It's like a zone board controller almost.
Kind of, yeah.
Similar.
Yeah, looks identical,
yeah.
That was where I decided to play with reheat, and I grabbed myself a little wire right to the jumper, and I just every time I call for G, I just freaking wire tied it. Yeah, the electric bill went up about $30 that month, but I was comfortable.
Well, if you want to play with reheat, here's what I would do is I would get you a humidistat.
Oh, okay.
And you power that humidistat off of Y.
Okay.
Right. So anytime, and you're going to want a humidistat that closes on a rise, or a close on rise terminal.
Right.
So that when your humidity goes up too high, then you just automatically turn that reheat on.
Bro, that's what we call a Frankenstein right there, bro.
This is one of the things about controls. It's super, super important to understand what these controls can do, because once you figure out what these controls can do,
right?
And I'm going to say that sometimes that IAQ stat can get really complicated, and Honeywell actually has like a 200-page document.
Yeah, bro.
On that thermostat that you can dig through. I mean, it will do some
nuts,
crazy stuff.
I left it right next to the air handler. I cut out French and I cut out the Spaniel, just to make the booklet thinner. What I mean?
This is not the document that comes with that thermostat. This is a whole separate engineering document that is 200 pages of English.
Wow.
On that thermostat about how it runs.
I printed mine out, even though I had the one that came with. I printed it out just, you know how it goes, 5 years down the road.
So,
but golly, it's freaking engineering. I mean, I'm shocked that it has ventilation, and that T-stat is 12 years old, bro.
It's not new.
It was ahead of its time, man.
Yeah.
It really was.
The only
was ahead of its time.
The only downside to it that I've found is you can't get data logging externally. All the data logging is done internally, but and to get the data logging out of it, you just plug a USB stick into the side of it.
Okay.
But one of the advantages to that is that you can put all the setups on that USB stick. Okay. So when you send your installing team out to set that up, they don't have to do anything but plug the USB stick into the side of it and hit program, basically. And it uploads the entire setup package into that control, and you're done.
That's pretty crazy,
so you can set and you can have all this stuff made up at the office as a business owner, right? Or as a, a service manager or whatever. You can have all that stuff set up at the office, and all they have to do is plug it in, hit program, it uploads into the stat, and you're off to the races.
That's like set it and forget it, right?
Is it Wi-Fi too? Can you get into it and program it from afar?
No, you can't do that. I don't think you have to, if you want to make it Wi-Fi. Now, okay, let me back up. What do you mean by programmable? Number one, and number two, to do Wi-Fi, you have to put in the Wi-Fi gateway because it's red link only.
Yeah, if you do the dedicated Wi-Fi with red link, is there a technician portal for setup? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't run any of my stuff on remotely, so.
Now, I got the old one with no red link, so I'm out of this one.
Yeah, this one's all red link that I showed you.
See, I want to get the train, the 1050, man, with the reheat.
I mean, that's got some cool stuff. This one will do reheat too.
Yeah.
You have to put it in commercial mode to do it, but it will do reheat.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah, it's already got it built in.
That'd be the time for a meme with the more you know rainbow comes up. Boom.
Yeah, you got to run it in the commercial mode, but it will do reheat. Like I said, it's simple. It's really simple to do reheat with electric heat and a simple close on humidity rise humidistat.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was pretty cool. I never thought about that one. That's
so I'm curious to hear if anybody else is in here has a different strategy. I'd like to hear it, man. I just kind of, curious to hear what other methods of madness people use for that.
As far as what?
How they control it.
Control the heat pumps or the heat, the electric heat.
How they're staging.
I like staging, like what Eric was saying. You turn on your 5, and then you go to your 10K.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
I like that, man.
So
it's way better than putting a jumper at the thermostat from E to W1 and W2. So
the U.S. Department of Energy right now is running what they call a cold weather heat pump or high output heat pump program. They're working with a bunch of different manufacturers to where they're trying to make the heat pumps perform better at lower temperatures. But when I was reading through those documents, one of the things I noticed that they were going for is actually smaller steps in the electric heat. And that's exactly what they want, is for this reason. So there's a few out there that will do like a 2.5 kW step or a 2 kW step. And I would personally love to see.
That would be cool.
A lot of our heat pumps
running with the heat pump, right?
Right. So you're just putting on a little bit of heat. You add to it, you maybe add 2.5 kW at a time. It's going to require more stages coming out of the thermostat.
Because it's 100% efficient, that electric heat. So
what do you call it? Man, I've put these in. I can't remember the name of the heaters. I've put these in before. It's been a long time. Where they pulse. It's a pulsing heater. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
They do it in it's done in VAV boxes.
That would be slick.
Modulating heat kit.
Yeah, it's actually a modulating heat. It's done in VAV boxes, pretty common.
I'm not the heat guy. I just made that up.
I can't remember there's an acronym for it. What is the name
I know what you're talking about, and I can't remember what it is right now either.
Oh man.
You should get one of those Janitrol heat
is it SCR? I think it's an SCR
SCR,
heater.
an SCR control. There you go.
Yeah. Where the heat actually, if you put your amp meter
on, right?
Well, man, look, it's a long story, and we'd run out a whole nother hour to the chat if I told you what I did on this job. But basically, I threw some reheat in a restaurant to keep humidity in check, and I put in an SCR heater, and it pulsed, right? And it's really odd to watch it with your voltmeter, right? So I had a thermostat on the wall, and it's communicating that it's sending a 4 to 20 signal to the SCR heater, and the SCR heater would pulse, right? It would come on and go off, come on and go off, come on. Right. And the further it got more closer to like the 4 to 20, the further it got away from the set point, the longer the pulses would stretch out. Very interesting. But that would be really cool to see come into play, right? Like instead of staging, that would be really cool. And I couldn't imagine that SCR relay is costing that much money. I don't know though.
They're not inexpensive. They're not inexpensive, but they're not that expensive. And given like what we're seeing with EC blower motors and things like that, I think that they're probably well within range. The challenge is bringing new technology into the marketplace and getting people to actually understand it and work on it, and not try to replace it with a friggin' contactor.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Ty makes up a great point there. You know, we do keep making things more efficient. Bill Spone is very fond of saying that, and I'm going to totally rip this off from him if you're listening, Bill. Thank you. HVAC systems make really expensive air, and the job of the house and or the duct system, if the duct system is outside the envelope, is to contain that expensive air.
Yeah, we don't stress enough that the house is part of the ductwork.
Well, it is.
Well, man, this goes back to the whole premises of tonight's statement of the show is heat pumps are for everyone, or are they not? Right? And man, this could be like a 12-part series show, right? I mean, we could
beat on this horse for a long time.
And maybe it will, right? This show could suck. And if we just keep this heat pump thing going, man, our audience could just grow.
I just want to talk about heat pumps in South Florida every freaking episode, man. You know?
That's right. Every show is going to start with heat pump talk. Right?
Now, you guys,
heat pump show.
Let me say, Michael, you guys have got I love it. You guys have heat pump pool heaters down there, though, right?
Yeah, those heat pumps I'm cool with.
Okay, because they don't have a reversing valve on them.
Shit, that's a good question. No, they don't. Dude, you had me thinking that for a second. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, it's like a heat pump water heater, right? If you go look at a heat pump water heater, they don't have a reversing valve on them. Why not? Why do they not have a reversing valve? Well, because they only need to move heat one direction.
One way. That's
one way, and they don't have to defrost.
Yeah. So, I mean, the pool heater does defrost, but I think it's just a fan, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, it might be just a fan defrost.
Yeah, that's about it.
It's not a reverse cycle.
What's A-Team saying? What does he say?
Yeah, what's he talking about? A Cocoon equipment. I want to know your thoughts.
Talking about the movie Cocoon from the 80s? What's going on?
That's what I think he's. Yeah, man. I have never heard of Cocoon.
There's a bunch of old people.
Cocoon.
I think I've heard of this. Okay.
Can we pull up? You talk. I'm going to see if I can Google this and show a picture.
Let me get the mighty iPad.
I think what this is.
Cocoon equipment.
I don't know. First thermal mass.
Or is that a typo? Is that raccoon equipment?
No, it's Cocoon. I don't know, Adam. I would have to look at this because what I've seen, I've seen these little electric heaters that were put out for years that claim to be more efficient than electric. Well, what they were was an electric heater, but they had a radiant panel on them. So they weren't actually heating the air. They were heating the people that were standing in front of them. And they called that more efficient because you would actually be more comfortable because they were radiating the heat towards you instead of just heating the air around you. So it was a more efficient method of heat transfer. And it would use less electricity to keep you warm, but it wasn't actually any more effective because when you started talking about the amount of BTUs out, they were just an electric heater.
Right.
Yeah, I see this.
Adam, is it just heating somebody like an individual? Because that's all I got.
That's what it looks like.
Was like heating somebody as an individual.
Yeah.
Or actually the movie Cocoon from the 80s came up on Google. So.
Well, no, this Cocoon HVAC it's cocoonrevolution.com if anybody wants to look at it. It claims to be a thermal mass furnace, and I'm going to have to like really look at that because I don't know.
Looks like is this like a sauna box? Is that what we're talking about here? It's like you get it and it's like a sauna?
I have no idea.
Am I wrong?
No,
here?
it's an air handler.
Oh, it looks like a flow hood.
It's an air handler.
It does look like a flow hood.
Looks like a fancy flow hood.
Look, buy the new Cocoon flow hood.
Yeah, buy it.
Right.
It's $8,000. Some Italian guy selling that shit.
Hey, I tell you what,
$8,000 flow hood.
Michael, give us your best Italian sales pitch for the Cocoon, man. Just do it.
Yeah,
come on,
it's $8,000, buddy. What do you got? I could sell ice to Eskimos.
I don't know. This year they may want some ice.
I want to hear Michael's best sales pitch, man.
Sales pitch.
I want to hear.
What is that, man? It looks like a freaking True Flow grid. What? I don't even know what it is.
Okay, so it says it uses long wave infrared heat to warm a thermal mass. So they're actually using
what it is. It's one of those.
They're using infrared heat.
Thing.
Well, they're using infrared heat.
Damn, these cookies are good.
I can't believe you're over there stuffing your face with cookies.
I got this infrared blanket for you, Chief. Come on over here. You don't want to heat your whole house. Just heat yourself. Screw your wife. Let her freeze her ass off. Buy my $5,000 heating blanket. You'll be good. And if she's really pissed, buy her one too.
So they're using infrared to heat what looks, I'm guessing, is like a thick metal plate. And then they're blowing air across this thermal mass, which I don't know if it's ceramic or if it's what A-Team says it's ceramic.
Yeah, they're not just blowing hot air by that ceramic disc.
But the thermal mass holds that heat. I have no idea. This is interesting. It's kind of interesting to me.
It's a lot of hot air getting blown by.
It sounds like a lot of hot air, but I don't know. Be interesting to see how they make that claim.
Ceramic plates.
All right. I'm just going to say this.
Or something?
I'm just going to throw this out there, just so we have an answer to the question tonight. Heat pumps for everyone, yes or no, and then we'll just chat. My answer is everybody could use a heat pump. Michael, which yes or no, man?
It's a deep breath on that one. Come real close to climate zone 1. You know what I'm saying? Whew. I don't know. If
we're going to let him off the hook.
We'll say, yeah.
That's like a halfway yeah.
You know, as if Eric, Miami didn't exist. You know,
Eric, what do you
say? Heat pumps for everyone that wants one.
You know, it's an SE.
All right.
That's my answer.
Let's have some fun, man. Let's have some fun. Let's circle back around. If you could say one statement, why? What would be your reason and why?
Because I'm in straight cool country, baby.
Eric, you go first, man. What's your one statement? What's your sales pitch for heat pumps, man?
They're more comfortable than most gas furnaces because we can control the capacity of them a little bit better. And I think the capacity lines up with most houses a little bit better.
Yep.
But it depends on how there's so many different variables there. so many variables that they're not right for everybody. They're not right for every situation. I don't think.
Don't get me wrong. I'm with you.
But I think that they can be right for. Sorry, I'm laughing at Ty Branneman out here that he's got a homing drone. Yeah, with Jason.
Ty, stop messing my boy up, Eric. All right.
Ty's going to have everybody with a homing drone that follows us around with an infrared heater. Ty, I love that idea. I'm all about that.
Throw a picture in the comments of your dog. That dog's too cute.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it simple, man. I'm a huge fan of the dual fuel option. Why not have a heat pump when you need it, and then turn on your furnace when it's extreme? I love it.
I mean, I like the idea of all electric, because then you don't have to pay for two fuel sources to be delivered to your house. So I like the idea of
heat pump and strip heat.
Well, no, I'm saying gas and electric coming into a house, because you're paying for both of those, and it's more infrastructure.
I'm not down with gas. No gas for me.
Okay, so you're paying for both infrastructures, and if we were only on electric or only on gas, either way, if we only had that one infrastructure coming to our house, we could put all of our money into maintaining that infrastructure.
Okay.
But, there's so many different variables and pluses and minuses to this. It's really, really situational. So it's got to be a situational thing. I'm not sold on just doing one.
The country's too big, man.
One thing. Now, for me, I'm actually gonna take my house.
I just had to do that
for president of what? South Louisiana.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because it ain't the United States. I definitely. I'll just say it right, man. If
you can't pass that background check.
If the White House comes to me and says, "Hughes, we need you to run the country," I'm just gonna say it, man. I'm gonna flat out say, "Hell no." I'm like, I don't want that job. There's a reason we don't put the best people in that job, man. Come on, let's be honest. There's plenty of people who could run this country probably really well, and they don't run for office. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's a shit show.
You got too many Russian friends, Chris. That's why.
That's probably what it is.
Russian friends.
They probably do. They probably look at my friends and go, "Hell no." You know what I mean? Like, hey, this dude has a party house every year. This dude, no. Yeah. This is not a good idea. Anyway.
But dude, I mean, in my house, I'm getting heat.
This dude
I'm in climate zone deuce. So
yeah.
I mean, in my own house, I'm actually gonna go all electric, but we're setting a generator outside, because we do have certain times a year where it's likely we're gonna lose power around here. So but for my house, because of the heating capacity that I need for this house, I don't need a ton of heat. Like, I'm at about, I think, around 34 to 36,000 for the whole house heating load, and that's at 5 degrees.
5 degrees.
Yeah, that's our design temperature up here is 5.
All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
All those 5 of them.
All those degrees.
And that's in Fahrenheit, in case we have any Canadian listeners out there that love to use Celsius.
I know I probably asked you this last podcast, but what state you in, Eric?
There's a few things, man, that I just gotta get off my There's a few things I gotta get a few things off my chest about these heat pumps, though. Pump, inverter based equipment, right? There's some little bitty things here that do bug me. And one is I don't know if it's every brand, and there's some probably mitigation techniques, but like my inverter at my house, when it does get cold and it ramps all the way up, I get a vibration noise that's pretty much coming from the compressor, and you can hear it through the line set. I hear it. It's like, the line set's like 35 feet or so, but I can hear it, man. And it gets this harmonic.
Dude, Train has that.
And it gets loud.
Testing. So you go into test mode, and then you put the RPM on the compressor.
Well, let me say this. I went in and, it's a Daikin unit. I'm not knocking Daikin, but I put it in quiet mode. Shh. I might get shot in my hotel room. But like, I put it in quiet mode, and
The
it
Japanese are
doesn't fix
coming
the
for you,
problem.
bro.
You know, somebody told
so
me I was told if you weld two 90s back to back on the outdoor unit, it'll stop it. Nah, dude, I got I gotta see a video on that before I decide to go bust that technique out. Nah,
you know what?
I'm not having it.
I've got a vehicle. I've got a vehicle that has a giant. I don't know. It's about yay big around, about 8 inches long, 4 inches across. It's got this big metal weight bolted to the bottom of the frame.
You talking about that little thing that the truckers put, like those balls, those balls on the back of the truck?
No, listen. It's It's on the driver's side, about midway of the frame.
Right.
It's a Toyota product. But
talking about drive shaft.
You know why they put that on there? To mitigate vibration. They figured out somewhere in their testing that they could throw this weight in this one certain spot on the frame. And I've talked to people that have taken it off, and they're like, dude, you get every once in a while, it's not all the time, you get this weird harmonic.
Right.
So sound things are kind of strange. Now, I'm curious, Chris, you talk about this. Yes, there is a lot of things that can happen with inverters because the inverter compressors run at a lot higher RPM.
Way higher.
Right.
And that's how we get the heat.
Where are you at? Where are you getting this vibration, this harmonics at?
So my question to you is it transmitting into your house, or is it just you can hear it in the line set?
It's that line set.
So I have a closet unit, and I'm telling you, if you're in my kitchen, you can hear it. It radiates to about half the house. It's very loud.
You know what Reem told me to do? Wrap a bunch of line set around the condenser.
No, but
you gotta be kidding me.
This was
a single stage unit though.
So I just want to point out, Mike Henderson says you got to purchase the vibration kit. So I have to look into that. I haven't.
Right.
Honestly, I have 3 kids. My house is constantly very loud, so I don't really pay no attention to it. But I could let a lot of things slide. So I'll have to look into that, Mike, and see what that's about.
I will say
what
this.
Is that one of those stainless steel adapters that's like about 2 feet long?
That's what I don't know.
I've mitigated some vibration noise and some compressor transmission noise, like what you're talking about coming into the line set. Mm-hmm. I've had to mitigate some of this with different line set strapping.
Right.
And you may have to actually loosen your line set up if you've got that line set strapped up tight to the house somewhere.
Right.
You may have to loosen it up and put a vibration eliminator between the house and that line set and leave that line set loose from the house. You still need to have it strapped and supported, but it can't be strapped like tight to the floor joist or something.
Bro, that's funny you mentioned that, because the job that I had a problem with, the line set went right in through a stick frame house and right up next to a 2x4. Mm-hmm. So just that harmonics just rang. It made the house ring.
And what that is it may also be showing you that if it's strapped too tight, you may have your insulation on your line set compressed way too much.
Yeah.
And it's going to sweat at that spot anyways.
Now everybody wants to know what vibration kit is.
Yeah, no. Next show here's the deal, man. By next show, we're trying to figure out what this vibration kit is, and we'll put it up for us, because I'm gonna have to go dig into that. Second thing I got to get off my chest is when we had that really cold snap, I noticed that my system would go into oil return mode quite often, and that's not something you really like read about or think about when you start looking at capacities. Can I handle this? Blah blah blah. It's like, yes, it can reach this capacity, but then at what cost? Right? There's defrost cycle, I get that, but then there's this oil return mode that happens periodically, and now you have defrost cycle mode and oil return mode, and that basically you have downtime where the heat's not running.
And that's making sense, man. So an oil return mode, it depends on how it's doing it in that. What's it doing in that oil return mode?
But I thought oil return mode was when it's on low capacity. It was struggling to get that oil back because it's in a low.
I can tell you this:
RPM.
It's got to be shifted into cool mode because I get cold blow when it goes into oil return mode. It tries to lower the fan speed.
I think it's just because
but I'm getting cold air.
I think that's the problem.
Oh, don't shoot!
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Shots fired!
There he is! There he is! He's on the boat again.
There he is. Track him down. He's on public Wi-Fi.
The Japanese come after you with a samurai sword.
You better watch it. Roman's not too far from you. He may pay you.
All I want to say is,
if you hear somebody knock at the door and they say "hello," don't answer the door.
More worried about a few $1 million worth of Daikin equipment I've got installed in my hometown.
Not every inverter unit has an oil return mode.
Oh, now Eric's dropping knowledge on me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's probably everybody's got a strategy, right?
Every manufacturer's got a different strategy.
Huh.
Okay, and it depends. Like, the fancier they get. So if they're talking liquid injection, you've got multiple heads, things like that. When you start getting into the branch boxes and the really fancy
down to residential,
systems,
Eric. Close this box down.
Yeah.
You're going to get more things. You're going to have more. You're going to have more things like oil return.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe let's not pick on Daikin. So let's just say a Mana doesn't have the same strategy as Train's oil return, because I know Train does. Like, let's say it's a 3-ton, it runs in like a 1 to 2 ton. I'll see that. I'll go into the back office of a Train 1050 thermostat, and I'll see it just go run at full stage for like 2 minutes for oil return.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that other brands don't do that? They'll do something different. Like, what kind of strategy are we looking at?
It all depends. Some of them they won't have an oil return strategy. They'll just rely on the natural circulation. Wow. I don't know what every manufacturer's got out there, because it's not only going to depend on the manufacturer, it's going to depend on which unit it is from that manufacturer, because they may have a different strategy for one level of unit that they don't use in a different level of unit.
That's true, because I took the class at the symposium.
We brought you on this show for one reason: to know everything.
You gotta know every brand, bro.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Hey, bro? I took that class on. Come on, bro. Get that manual out. RTFM.
I mean, hey, dude. How about you step up your game? Right? You're supposed to know all this stuff, right?
Yeah, you should actually build a separate work shed. And, do all your podcasting from there. But what I was saying was, took that class on Ream and Rudd at the symposium in Orlando.
Hey, just real quick. It's rude to say Rudd.
It's rude to say Rudd. So anyway, they said they had this really cool.
That was a Ty Brannaman joke if I ever seen one.
That was
a Ty Brannaman joke if I ever seen one.
You guys are both tied now. So So anyway, but you're right. They have you got a baseline inverter system now. And now you have a full communicating line. So I'm with you, man. It's like now there's like 2 brands of heat pump inverters for each manufacturer, and possibly 3, because I've got Train has one air handler that's an EEV, and then you got Train has one that's just a regular TXV. So I'm sure it's going to be different on each one. So, but A-Team's dropping some knowledge now.
Yeah,
that dude's smart.
He's been reading mint. Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he said he read that in Manual H.
He said he thinks he read that in Manual H.
There's a freaking Manual H? Damn.
Sorry, my computer did something weird. Adam, reach out to me later with
that. It's on that public Wi-Fi.
I know, man.
I'm glad the stream didn't drop.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? I'm just happy.
We better pull this down, man. We've been pushing this public Wi-Fi to the max.
Are the kids coming home?
Just for the record, Manual H is heat pump systems from ACA.
Emmanuel H.
Manual H.
Oh, So family's coming back into the room.
You're in trouble now.
Cool.
I'm in trouble.
We got
to
go,
bring the kids on. Bring the kids in. It's a family show.
Hey, you know what? Maybe next show
I'll
bring my oldest on.
Yeah.
Here comes one of them right now. Look, boom.
Hey,
right?
What's going on?
Back in the house.
I tried getting my son to do quick.
Right, hey, real quick.
Wait, let Luke come in.
How often are we doing this show now, Chris?
Weekly show.
Weekly. Okay, we're gonna do it weekly. Sunday nights at 8 Eastern.
Whenever
we'll figure it out.
Overtime's not playing.
We'll figure
8
it out.
Eastern.
Whenever
watch the YouTube channel, watch the group, watch the Facebook. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll let you know.
A team's not having a show at I think Tuesday at 1:30, right?
Say what's up.
He's on. I think he's on every other night of the week, though.
Every other night. That's right. Okay.
We were left with Sunday.
Next week it is. See you guys later.
Next week.
Peace out.
The Hugheses.
See you guys later.
Guys. Thanks for joining in the chat.
Oh, look, we all came back.